Hello, friends of the Wheel of Time. We welcome you to our review, our spoiler review for episode 6, The Flame of Tar Valon. And already in the title, we find some information here that may not be generally known to all people who view this, even people who have read the book. Because Robert Jordan very often used associations and links to terms and words that came from all kinds of mythology. And the term Tar Valon, the name of this city, of this place where we eventually find the White Tower and all these things, that actually might be another reference from Celtic Assyrian mythology, because I think it refers, or it's influenced by the word or the name Avalon. Avalon is a mystical island in the Assyrian cycle of mythology. It's a place of magical women, especially. It's the place where King Arthur got his magical sword Excalibur, where the Lady of the Lake, the famous magician or the famous helping figure in the Assyrian circle of mythology, lived. It's also where he withdrew to and was healed. It's associated also to Morgan Le Fay. So it's this very special magical place, and I think Robert Jordan here implicitly says this is also a magical place. And we learn a lot about magic and about the person who currently is on the Emerald seat in this episode. So we hear about, the whole story begins with young Siran Sanche and what kind of person she is, how she came from humble beginnings and was sent to her father, by her father, to the White Tower. And then the scene goes directly to the judgment of the dragon.
Yes, and Tar Valon, you know, is as well an insult. So like Avalon is an insult too, a magical island. So it's, I think, as you said, as well, one other clue that we have this magical island with fae and yes, magical power.
Yeah, it's an island. That's interesting, indeed. Yes. So the connection is actually there on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but let's go back to the judgment of the dragon. It's very interesting. He wants to die. He actually, I mean, what he starts to say is pretty aggressive.
Yes.
And I thought, like, that's not going to help him.
Yes.
But the woman on the Emerald seat, she
understood that he wants to die. Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? It makes me think about the point. What is really about the Asada? Because not the first time we see a lot of people are against Asada. And I don't know for you, but I like Moraine. I think I think she's a good person. Some other Asada less, but I'm wondering what is really about what have they done so that people are so against her, and it's what he is trying to provoke with the Amaranth seed.
Well, in the books, there is this belief that's been spread that nothing good ever comes from the Aes Sedai, and that's like a thing that's quite common. And I believe it has somehow to do with the mythology of the origins, because somehow when the last dragon broke the world, the actual breaking of the world is in some form or another also associated with what the Aes Sedai actually did. So somehow there is this association to something negative. So I think that's part of it. And I think that's where some of the hatred comes from.
Mhm.
And apparently there's some rules which the Aes Sedai have set for themselves that must be kept, so people will trust the Aes Sedai more, or feel protected from the Aes Sedai. And one of those rules that we see when Liandrin is confronted by Siwan. Oh, I'm really always struggling with those names, you know. It's like, it's not because it's fantasy names, but it's like they're all written in a way that they are hard to pronounce. I don't know if you have the same thing. I mean, it's not like in Lord of the Rings you have all fantasy names. It's like Gandalf and Elrond and Aragorn, and I have no problem with any of those.
Yes.
But I was like, how do you see what like? It's all vowels. I think Robert Jordan tried to emulate like the Welsh language or something like that, which is also very difficult to pronounce.
Yes.
But anyway, you know, Liandrin, she was trying to, she was being confronted and judged, and she was told that they have a rule that they must first shield, then gentle, and then kill, and everything happening in another order is unacceptable. And even their argument that they might have not survived is not considered completely valid. So I think that's part of it. They want to protect the people from thinking that they might partially just kill anybody or judge anybody unfairly.
Well, actually, she makes clear that the rules are there to protect the people from the Aes Sedai. So I think this is interesting, and it's probably this code of honor is also used for people to build up trust. And so the Amelin seat, Siwan, she holds it very high that the rules are obeyed and that personal interests are not of primary importance.
Yeah, I think that is very, very, very much clear that they restrict themselves for the benefit of the people and perhaps for the belief of the people in them to improve their status, but they're still not completely trusted. Apparently, one of the rules is they can't lie, but this still doesn't mean that everything they say is understood the right way. So there's still some distrust, but obviously you might probably not be able to say everything all the time.
Yeah, probably this is something that we have in all with all magicians in fantasy stories or even mythology. So they use their words very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're kind of trickster as well.
Yeah, I mean the magician and the trickster are in some form connected in many mythologies, so that's certainly true.
So if we go back to the hall, we find that there was an extraordinary situation with a false dragon, but also another interesting thing going into politics, because the reds or the greens and the blue Aes Sedai stand in for the red ones, so they defend each others. And we learn that apparently this is unusual. And so we have quite many unusual things here. So we have a very strong false dragon. We have strange alliances among the Aes Sedai. And
were they really alliances, or were they just, you know,
not an alliance? Yes,
making up a show in a sense, you know, like to make, for example, the Reds believe they're really on their side when in fact they are not so much. I don't know.
Yeah, but in this situation, they try to defend each other to prevent Liandron from being punished in that situation, at least. Yeah, 1 minute later they attack Moraine. She attacks Moraine. So yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be such a good idea, and I think they were trying to prevent her from thinking they're all against her or that much against her. But it means nothing to Liandrin. She is trying to use her power against Moraine, while at the same time, that isn't as effective as she thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because there's some things that we learn pretty soon afterwards about the fact that they're not the only, there are many people who put up a show and things are not exactly as it seems. And we learn about this love relationship between Siwan Sanche and Moraine.
And you also learn about the love relationship between Liandron and a male.
And a man, wow, what
and
a shame.
that was a cool scene where she just shut her up,
That's really
it was
cool.
just like, you bitch, just shut up, you better. Because I mean, but it's also interesting. It gives a depth to, at first she appeared like she is like the man hater, and apparently she's not. Or maybe it's part of the show she puts up. And I remember in the previous scene, there was this thing where she had this discussion with Nineve about hating men, and she said, well, not all of us hate men. So that's interesting.
Yes.
So I didn't think she would refer to herself, but
I was going to refer to this as well. By the way, in the comments, someone helped us, and I thought it was a really great help. Someone wrote 9 Neve, so the number 9 and then Eve for evening, 9 Neve. So this is a good way to remember how it's pronounced.
9 Eve.
Oh, great.
So thanks a lot to the commenter.
Thank you. And you know what? I think they are all playing with, or I have the impression they are trying to deal with very important thoughts that it seems that it's rules in the White Tower. One is no man should use the one power. So it's difficult for Moraine to bring the idea. I may have the real dragon with me, so a man who could channel the one power. And the second thought is each clan of Aes Sedai is for his own, so they shouldn't. They should protect their own
colors.
Colors, Asha, and the Amarilyn seat has to be neutral. So as well, this game that she cannot between Moraine and Swan Sanchez, they cannot speak openly about the newborn dragon. They cannot. She cannot support Moraine, and so it was my.
I'm not entirely sure whether the problem with mentioning the dragon is primarily that he could be a man. We don't know that yet, and the way it's played is everybody's still in the game. I mean, everybody's. We constantly hear arguments why it could be this person or why it could be that person. We heard an argument why it could be Matt still, despite the fact that apparently we haven't yet seen him channel the one source, but he was surviving or withstanding this evil dagger. So maybe he's extraordinarily strong. And also Perrin, with his unusual abilities, we specifically reminded of the fact that, hey, we don't know in what form and with what powers the dragon will come again. So he might be in the game. And even Nynaeve, who literally is too old, according to that prophecy, but we don't know, because of her extraordinary powers. She would, in fact, seem to be like a major candidate, just power-wise.
Yes,
so
we also
very interesting.
Later on, we even learn that there could be many dragons, many dragons, not just one. So maybe the wheel split the soul of the one dragon into several persons. So this is something new, and of course, it serves also as to keep up the suspense. Who is it? Because now everybody's back in the game, so to say.
Yeah, everybody's back in the game, and perhaps they're all together in the game. We do not know that, or at least It could be several one of them. That's an interesting thought.
Yes.
But what I'm not sure about is the dragon officially considered an exception to the male no magic rule? Is he or is he not? Because if the issue was, say, I found the dragon and everybody agreed upon this and it would be a man, would that be okay? Or would the Aes Sedai primarily want to fight against this man, despite the fact that he is the real dragon? I mean, they fight against the false dragon, I get that. But would they also fight against the real dragon if he was a man? Or would they then say, well, the real dragon's an exception to our rule. He can use a channel and it's okay.
I had the impression they wouldn't go so far in discussing it and saying like it's a man, he has to be a false dragon. So it's my impression I had so far from the movie, that it's not really open to discussion. If a man can channel the one power, it has to be gentled. So
yeah, I'm unsure about it, honestly.
And it's my impression as well of this scene in the White Tower. This first scene in the White Tower, before the Amarylline seed, that they say, yeah, no man can channel the one power. So it's these statements that make me think, okay, so that means with Moraine's quest, they cannot speak openly about it, because it would really it would be difficult to discuss it with the other Aes Sedai.
Yeah, maybe the other thought I had concerning that, I mean, let's suppose it would be okay if the dragon would be, the real dragon would be a man, but it still would be power politics. Who kind of gets to influence him? People would try to get to him, and I don't know. I don't necessarily think he could become part of any of those fractions, literally, but he would still, every group will want to get, their influence upon him. So this might also be part of the problem. Maybe not just that he is a man, but that whoever it was, everybody would want him first for themselves.
Yes, I agree. And then we learn that Moraine cannot say what her real plans are. So we learn about her secrets in a way, because she plans to take the dragon or dragons to the Dark One, to do whatever, kill him. We don't know. So she does in secret after she's been being exiled, and we don't know exactly what the plan is or what the other would have thought on this, but we can be sure that they would not have agreed, or not agreed easily. So they are playing maybe a dangerous game. And Siwan also mentioned it, if they are being caught, so this secret love and their secret plans, they would be not gentle but stilled. So there seems to be another term for gentle a woman, or gentle in Aes Sedai. So this is kind of strange.
Yes, and now Moraine is really on her own. All her sisters turned their back, so she cannot come back. She has no help from her sisters, so it thinks it's going to make it probably even harder. I don't know, but it's something I'm curious about, because I guess, yes, it will come.
But there's something very interesting that I noticed at that scene. That and to me, as somebody who's also a hypnotist and who understands the power of words, when she said that oath, the way it was, she was supposed to say it, or the way she was told to say it, or suggested, was that she would swear loyalty to the Amarylline seed, and she changed that to the name of the person currently sitting on the seat. And I think that's very, very significant, because that would make a significant difference should she be overthrown. Let's say Liandrin gathers more followers and overthrows her in some way. Then she has not sworn any loyalty to Liandrin. So that is a very interesting thing.
And there's
how
also
that will play out.
Yes, and there's also a sort of return ticket, because when Siwan calls her back, then the exile is ended.
Yes.
And so this is a very good move. And I also noticed this, and I also noticed that she used some phrasings from Siwan's childhood that her father called her. And
yeah, and why would she do that in public? That is, I
yes.
noticed that as well. And why
no,
would she
no
do
one,
that?
no one commented on this, so there was no reaction.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was very interesting. And about that return ticket, I was wondering, you know, there's also a risk. So what would happen if, for example, somebody attacked the seed and kill her, or in some other form she would be unable to take that back, to call her back?
Yeah, it's a great risk.
So there's a bit of a risk. So I was wondering, could they have just, you know, given a time frame to this, perhaps, to say you would be exiled for 3 years or something
No,
like
they
that?
said for eternity, until, or I heard for eternity, and I heard or until the Amaryllin seed calls you back, or until Swan Sanche called you back.
Yeah. So that's
so it's very, yes, very serious one.
The other side, of course, of that is that suppose Swan Sanchen can't call her back, given the way it was phrased, I'm not sure the next Amaryllin seed could call her back, if you follow this literally, because she did not swear on the seed, she swore on the person, you know.
That's
so
a
that's
good point.
That's it's complicated, you know, and you're taking a risk either way. But that's the way she formulated it. And apparently she did have some freedom and nobody complained about it. So I think that is at least interesting.
Yes.
And then everybody turned away. And I'm not sure everybody turned away because of hatred. Some people did at least I interpreted it as being a little sad about it, but just playing along with it.
Yes.
You know?
It's a ritual, seems to be a ritual showing that she's been in exile now, and everybody turns away from her.
And I think they really beautifully did some of the rituals that we've seen so far. They felt very believable.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have to admit I was a bit disappointed when there was this love scene between them both. I thought, do we really need this? So I'm still not sure. But of course, the relationship between men and women is also a very great topic in the series. And I thought after this, well, okay, so they have, of course, human feelings. They feel love. They want a companion on their side, but then still the task they are up to is more important to them both. So Siwan as well as Moraine have a high code of honor in a way. They want to reach their goal. They want to save the world, and it cannot be hindered by any private or personal feelings. So I like this very much.
Yes.
It's very interesting, and they fleshed out a lot of things in the you know, in the movie version in the series, and you can see. I think it's interesting to see when you look at the making ofs that they also offer on Amazon, how they added some bits in. So I really hope that this love relationships actually from the books, and this is not just some modern addition to play to some special interest groups, because I don't like if things are being changed like that for that reason. If it's in the book, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'm interested, is that in the book?
Yes, me too. I'm not so far in the book, and I already noticed how much they changed, and I was wondering, was it really useful, or was it really, required to make a movie to change so much? But I want to come back to what you said, Andrea, with the man-woman relationship and roles. And you know what I found quite funny, a very short scene, but I found it was funny because, like, a bit unexpected. It's not something we see very often. It was the two warder waiting for their Asada, Alana Sedai, from the room of the Amaryllin seat. and she comes out speaking to Moraine, doesn't have even a look at her two warders, and she just reach her hand, and one of her warder give her a fruit and shows that he eat, and it was like a bit unexpected and surprising, and I found it a bit funny because here we have the roles like all the way around, like the women are like kind of have the powers, the Asada, and they have the water like a bit as who
Yes,
serves them. So it was funny scene for me.
it's an interesting thing, Ankarol. I noticed as well throughout the series so far. So the warders treat the Aes Sedai like some royalty, like some king or queen. So they have high respect. They step back, and they are like tender. So it's not actually not explicitly a relationship, a sexual relationship, but there's a deep inner bond and a lot of respect. And I guess the respect is mutual, although the Aes Sedai have the leading role, of course. But I think it's fascinating. It's very well played, so it's very interesting.
It is interesting indeed, but this bond can be suspended for a period of time, because when Moraine went to meet the Sanche, she suspended that, and I expect that's because she didn't want her warder to know what she felt when meeting her lover.
Oh, I think he knew, or you mean that he doesn't know what that she has a lover, or?
Well, anyway, she suspended that. But he did extend greetings, send her my greetings.
Yes.
So that's kind of interesting. It's kind of like, what is this all about?
So I think the bond is maybe connected with the ring, because she left her ring before she went to a lover. And if you remember, when Kirini died, there was something special with the ring. Water had take very care about the ring, and then we see in their grief and in their worry, Moraine and Lion, he kissed her ring, and he seems to have this care for her ring, like, okay, it's their connection, or maybe it's what I guess an important element in their connection. So, Anna, you made something as well. You gave an important word. I want to speak about it. Royalty. I don't know if you noticed the Amerlin seat told Moraine's family name.
Yes.
Did you notice it? Have you noticed
that? Yes, right. So she's a royal lady. Yes.
So she's a royal lady. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting as well. So how is that relevant? Will that become more relevant eventually? I mean, we knew about it in a way when she was introduced in the first 3 episodes. She was introduced as royalty when she entered the tavern. So it was already mentioned once, but I wasn't quite sure, was that like a respect they show for all Aes Sedai, or now we know it's special for her. She is actually not only an Aes Sedai, but she's also royalty. Yeah. So that's interesting for sure.
Yes.
And they've played this the seeming conflict as a fake show to make it appear like they are in disagreement with each other. They use this, despite the fact that there was no real conflict. So that's very wise tactics.
Yes. Another thing I noticed is when Amazon sometimes displays some further information, and last time I noticed that the further information, or the time before that, sorry, don't know which episode, there was some further information on Tom Merrilin, and so we learned that he's a highly educated man, and so maybe there's also more to come. Well, I hope, at least. I hope he's not dead yet. And so maybe there's some more revelations, because I think it would be fit in very much with it. So what we learned about Moraine now, that she's a royal lady, so maybe there's some
Interesting
more
indeed.
things to come.
Interesting indeed.
Yeah.
Maybe let's switch back to the other characters for a moment.
Yes.
Or partly. I mean, going back to the situation where Moraine drew out the evil from Matt. I think that was also a very interesting scene. It showed her commitment. It certainly created a lot of rapport, a lot of positive feelings and trust on the side of Rand and Matt, probably the whole group eventually, to see that she's not doing anything evil. She's really trying to help. And it also convinces me as the viewer even more. I mean, I was a little skeptical about her in the early episodes, but now I feel we can really trust her. She's really one of the good guys, or good women, so to speak.
Yes.
So that was really a powerful scene. And as we mentioned earlier, it's not clear what kind of powers Matt originally had. Certainly some of the things that he did were associated with that sort of cursed evil dagger. What actually happens with that dagger? I mean, where is that? Did they just leave that lying around and we never saw what?
I think Lan wrapped it in a cloth, and maybe he took it with him.
Sort of like the Palantir in Lord of the Rings. It kind of reminded us of that.
So she said something like, Matt must not touch this dagger again. So
yeah, but that implied that the dagger would probably be around, you know? I mean, you know,
maybe,
like, I would assume you'd kind of,
you know, maybe I just thought maybe she thought that Matt would go out and seek for the dagger. Remember the last scene, he did not join them. He did not cross the threshold with this short ways, or what was it called? So the portal.
so and that's kind of interesting. He's like the only character. I mean, we already said earlier. I think of him as a little bit of a trickster, sort of like Loki, kind of character. And you know, one of the character traits of a trickster classically is this you know, passive aggressiveness. He may agree with something and then not do it. So there was this implicit agreement that they would all go through this gate, and then he just, you know, went last, and then he didn't go at all, you know. So that was a trick he played on everybody at the point where nobody could do anything about it anymore. And I think it's very interesting to see how his character develops and how we see this trickster attitude perhaps somewhat. What is he up to? We do not know. By the way, if you want to know a little more about the trickster archetype, of course, we some of you guys made this brilliant video in our other channel about the trickster archetype from a psychological perspective. So we maybe should put a link in the description. We will put a link in the description for anybody who wants to check that out.
Yes, and we put some examples from the mythology. So yes,
okay,
have a look at the video. And I'm really curious what he's about. So it's like, again, I'm curious about what is going to happen to him, what kind of bad stuff he's going to do, because I don't know, I can imagine it will be some new problems again.
So maybe he was just scared because of the way the commitment was emphasized, you know, because I mean, apparently it's pretty clear you can die. And this is where Moraine also wasn't like, she was a little Asada telling the truth, sort of, when she was literally asked, so what happens to everybody who's not the dragon? We don't know that yet, even though previous discussion sounded like pretty much, you know, you're done. If you're not the dragon and you go there, that's it, you know.
Yeah, well, let's see. So maybe she was a bit as a trickster herself, but maybe she has reasons to say so. One other thing is regarding the hero's journey, and I'm sure Stefan, you will add some more things. I just thought, okay, when this is a hero's journey, what will happen? So you look at Egwene. She says, okay, what has to be done? So she's all in. She says, okay, if it's my job, what has to be done? So Perrin just looks a bit scared, but seems to be quite confident, quite entschlossen.
Determined.
Determined. Thanks. She seems determined to do what's necessary. Although we don't have a verbatim statement, I guess. And then we have Nynaeve, and Nynaeve is still sort of against. So, cannot trust you. Is it worth it? So, what do you want? What's your goal? What's in it for you? Kind of thing.
Talking about Nynaeve is I think it's very important, because in an earlier video I had the suspicion already that there was an element of pride, and now it was literally spelled out that she's a person who has a lot of pride. She comes across a little bit, I'm not sure if it's arrogant. In the series itself, it's played as, oh, maybe it's just a way to express your fear. I think there's also the resentment of this other wisdom who was rejected by the Aes Sedai, by the White Tower, for reasons we do not know. Why was she rejected? I don't think it's because of her low status, because if that was at a time where the same person was already on the Amaranth seat, I don't think she would. She strikes me as a character who would reject somebody because of their low status. So I don't trust that story. But apparently for Nynaeve, this was really important, and that's why she thinks the Aes Sedai are really not to be trusted. So is that just her rejection of the Aes Sedai, or does she have an arrogant, prideful character quality that will probably be her downfall eventually? I do not know.
It's been hinted at very often, yes.
Yeah. So
also, I found it interesting that Egwene was looking at Nynaeve when they were in the private chambers of the Amelin seat. And I had the impression she looks for kind of guiding. So what am I gonna do? And she looks at Nynaeve, and then her eyes go to the Amelin seat. So she's orienting herself to her and to Moraine rather than her teacher Nynaeve. So maybe this was an important moment. I'm not sure, but so we see the different approaches the two women have. Yes.
And I think
I find it great, because when Moraine say, if wisdom is the title you claim, I suggest you start using some.
that was very spot on. That was spot on.
Because she has been so passionate so far with Nynaeve and always kept cool and.
And especially because Moraine did something only an Aes Sedai can do so far. She stopped the dagger. She stopped an attack to her by herself because Lan wasn't there. So so we see the difference between an Aes Sedai and between Nynaeve. Maybe she can learn it, no problem, no doubt, but she's not yet there.
Learning is a very important keyword, because now they're all on their journey. And they haven't learned anything, I mean, they're all, they may be super talented. Nynaeve may be the most powerful channeler for 1,000 years, as we're being told. But there apparently was some sort of training that you would go through on the White Tower. So she hasn't gone through any of those, nor have any of the other characters, if they should be able to channel magic or be the dragon. But that apparently doesn't count, so that confused me a little bit. So does the dragon at least not need to learn anything? Is he like, once he, has his coming out or whatever this is called, then he's just all powerful? Or is there a learning curve anywhere? And personally, I would prefer if there was one, because I really don't like, talking from another famous franchise, I don't like the kind of Rey characters who like, suddenly here I'm the savior with no learning whatsoever. I think there has to be some kind of learning to make a character relatable and believable.
And I guess they will, because we're in the first
steps of the hero's journey.
Yes, this as well, but
but if Jordan follows that,
episode 6, it's episode 6 of the first shuffle.
Yeah. of the
Of the
first
First,
whatever.
season.
So we have only
the
6
first season.
episodes so far. Season. So it's
Yeah.
the first season, episode 6. So who else? Who knows what will
Yes.
be coming?
Yeah,
And
but-
indeed,
And in talking in terms of a hero's journey, I think right now what they're actually doing, and they've been doing in several stages. I mean, the leaving the village was already a first crossing of the threshold, but now actually they're quite literally crossing a threshold. There was a commitment, and I think we most clearly heard this from Egwene, who said, "Yeah, whatever I need to do, I'm going to do it." That was very clear. That was very powerful. From the others, we didn't hear it, as we already discussed, so clear. But now they're all, except from Matt, crossing literally the threshold to the world of adventure. And we do not know what kind of world that is, but it looked and seemed to be some kind of more scary place than whatever they've been before.
Yes.
and also
And there's no coming back.
There's no coming back. So that is a crossing of a threshold, definitely.
definitely,
and
yes.
It's an important stage in the hero's journey. Again, if I may, I'd like to refer you to our video that describes the stage in more detail on our other channel. So link in the description.
Yes, maybe have a look at the whole stages of the hero's journey. If it's new for you, then you will understand as well why the threshold has this position and when it comes afterwards.
And why it matters for a lot of things, actually. And we probably do an extra series on this channel, especially relating it to storytelling in itself, because on the other channel, it includes a couple of other things as well, and has a bit different perspective. But coming back to this episode, I think, this crossing of the threshold moment that we have now is a great moment to stop, because I really want to know what's coming next. What's going to be the next thing? What kind of world will they enter?
Yeah, so I'm very curious as well. And while thinking about it, I hope we will learn more about Loyal. He's been called the Builder, and we do not yet know why, and seems to be somehow related to whatever will come. And yeah, Stefan?
I kind of suspect that maybe his race was the people who built the tower, perhaps.
Yes, exactly. So for the one who haven't noticed, in Amazon Prime, you can watch some bonus about the creation tales of this world. So, and one is about the builders.
Oh, I missed this. Okay.
The people of Loyal who built the White Tower.
Ah.
So it's a kind of title for all the Argiers. And by the way, I was happy when I discovered these bonuses to see that there's more material. And in the same time, I found a bit a pity that they didn't include these small stories into the series, because I found some of the bonuses are more important than other ones, but it's some of them I thought, well, it would have been great to see them as in a movie kind of style and within the series.
And maybe give us in the comments some feedback if you would also like to have a short review about some of those bonus episodes.
Yes.
We are happy to do them as well if you are interested. Otherwise, we may anyway incorporate it into a discussion of the episodes.
Yes, and especially with the point of view of mythology, hero's journey, the archetypes that we find in mythology.
Yeah, and as the series will progress, we will, of course, bring more of those other viewpoints into it from comparative mythology and much more psychology and other things. So I think we've pretty much covered it, and I'm really curious the obvious question is, what is on the other side? What will they meet? What kind of challenges? So I'm really looking forward to that. Anything else that you guys are really curious about?
Oh, yeah, sure. As much as I'm curious about what's on the other side, I'm more like, what is Matt going to do? So maybe
Yes.
Yeah. Does he have some plan, or is he just a little bit of a coward? I mean, obviously it's
he's sort of
almost certain death, so I'm not sure if the term coward's a little unfair, but I mean, he's not quite as heroic, apparently. Or does he think that maybe he's been too much touched by darkness, that he might be a danger for everybody if he crosses over and comes closer to the darkness? So maybe it was his sense of protecting everybody. I don't know.
Yes.
he sort of smiled, I guess. So I'm a bit suspicious.
And where's the dagger? It's a dagger where he could reach it. You know?
Yes.
And I'm
Get
curious,
the dagger.
if we think, okay, it was his adventures to go there, that means he would have to go, and at some place they said, yeah, a kind of the fate is the fate, and you cannot go against it. Like I don't know exactly how they said it, but so maybe it will arrive there at some point, or he will be forced to go there with other meat. Like I don't know, is maybe the Dark Lord can approach him and take him and bring him there, and they all meet there. I don't know, but it will be as well some kind of possible development. And I'm anyway very, very curious about Matt.
We will find out. As I say, the wheel weaves as it wills.
Exactly.
So we will find out, I guess.
Thank you.
Right now, I'd like to find out what our viewers are most interested in and what they may have noticed that we have not noticed, or where they disagree or have some additional information to share. Now, please, no spoilers for people who haven't read the books, but every additional information that might enlighten us, or that you have seen, or how it relates to the same scenes in the books. I think that's not a spoiler if you can describe how it was different in the book. That would be very interesting to read. I'm curious for your feedback, and we're always happy for your likes, for your comments. We really enjoy reading them and commenting on them. And also, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell and help this young channel to grow, so we can deliver you much more awesome contents about the Wheel of Time. We're planning to work on to do some stuff on the Game of Thrones series, the House of the Dragon, and many other interesting fantasy tropes, and much more. So hope to see you soon in the next video. And bye-bye for now. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.